Mushroom Kingdom, here we come!
I feel like for as long as we've known about the Mario movie, there's been a lot of skepticism about it. Whether that be because of the movie from the 90s, Illumination, Chris Pratt, there's always been a lot of reasons for worry about this movie. Personally, I've always tried to hold out hope because I do really love Mario and his games, and I do feel like they would make a great movie. But now, after 6 years of waiting, the Super Mario Bros. Movie is finally here. And while I agree that some of the criticism against this movie is completely valid, I don't care, man. I love this movie. Alright, so basically, Mario and Luigi are plumbers in Brooklyn, they get sucked into a pipe, and Mario has to rescue Luigi from Bowser. Shocking, I know. I think the first thing I should mention about this movie is that it's really, really fast. This movie's only 90 minutes long, and you can definitely feel that with the pacing. The name of the game here really is spectacle. The huge action set pieces and the comedy are really the focus of this movie. And a lot of the time, that means the story falls to the wayside. This is definitely a surface level story, but I did find it somewhat excusable. I mean, this is a movie based on the video game where the Italian plumber jumps on turtles to save the princess. There really isn't that much of a plot to go off of. I also really respect how they don't explain any of the lore behind the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, we're not here for that. We're here to watch Mario jump around for 90 minutes. And I feel like if you go in with that expectation, you're gonna have a great time with this movie. This movie almost perfectly replicates the way it feels to play a Mario game, and to that end, I would consider this a successful adaptation. I've seen a lot of online movie reviewers compare this movie to Candy, and honestly, I'd say that works pretty well, because if you're a Mario fan like me, this is basically a 90-minute sugar high. I mean, I was smiling throughout the entire thing. That being said, the lack of a concrete story kind of makes it feel like things are just happening for 90 minutes. Like, when I was walking out of the mall on my way home, I kind of realized that the last 90 minutes of my life were an absolute fever dream. Is this what shrooms are like? But there are definitely elements of a good story here, and I don't see a lot of reviewers talking about those. Mario and Luigi's dynamic is really good considering the little screen time it actually gets. And the dynamic they have with the rest of their family is really good, and that's one of my favorite scenes. I kind of feel like this only came about because Miyamoto watched some of the recent Disney movies about family trauma and said, hey, I want to do that. This is also framed as Mario's origin story, which kind of gives them a little leeway to play with the Mario formula in ways that we're not expecting. Like how Luigi's the one getting kidnapped, the whole Brooklyn subplot, it's all really creative. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the final battle of this movie, it's amazing. It's literally cinema. Luigi stepping in to save Mario and the two of them using the Superstar to defeat Bowser. It's literally the only way this movie could have ended, and I was so happy to see it realized. Overall, yeah, this movie does have a kind of weak story, but there are definitely nuggets of a good story hidden in there somewhere. Now, you might be wondering, if I were to rewrite the movie, how would I write it? Great question, hypothetical audience. Welcome back to Ian's Mini Rewrites. This is the segment of the video where we rewrite the movie based on my complaints. We did this for Ant-Man, and we're doing this again because A, this is my creative outlet, and B, it gives me viewer retention, so let's go. The one big change that I would make to this movie is that I want more Luigi. And the main reason behind this is that Luigi is awesome and he's better than Mario. But you know, there are also some smaller, less significant reasons. I don't feel like Mario and Luigi should have been separated for almost the whole movie because their dynamic is great, and giving us more of it would have done wonders to giving this film a more cohesive story. In this version, they would both go to the Mushroom Kingdom, and through some wacky shenanigans, they would get the pipe destroyed, and their motivation here would be getting back home to Brooklyn. From here, I thought it would have been really cool if Mario was kind of seen as like a chosen one figure. This would explain how Peach trusts him almost immediately, and would also be more accurate to Mario's multi-talented ability in the games. Not to mention that it would generate more tension between Mario and Luigi. This Mario is used to being called a disappointment, and here he is in a world where he's finally valued as a hero. That may cause him to get slightly overconfident. Meanwhile, Luigi is scared out of his mind and he just wants to go home. But ultimately, Luigi will gain more confidence by the end of the movie, and Mario will learn that he doesn't need to be a hero to be fulfilled, and that as long as he's with his brother, everything will be okay. Alright, that's all for the story, but get ready, because now we're about to talk about the voice cast. Ooh. I think it's safe to say the voice cast was the most controversial part of this movie when it was announced. And if I'm being honest, I think it was pretty hit or miss. We are going to be ranking all the cast members from best to worst, so here we go. In first place, we obviously have Jack Black as Bowser. He was born to play this role, and the amount of dedication he has for it is insane. He really goes all out with this one. In second place, we have Charlie Day as Luigi. He's really entertaining, and he makes the role his own while maintaining the spirit of the character from the games. In third place, we have Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. He's Keegan-Michael Key. He's obviously awesome. The voice he does is somewhat reminiscent of the games, although not as annoying by a long shot, but he is seriously underutilized in this movie. Like, it is not even funny. It is criminal how much he's underutilized. And now the controversial one who you've all been waiting with bated breath for, Chris Pratt's Mario. He's fine. He's perfectly serviceable. I actually do really like the thought process behind this new voice, combining the voice from the games with the Brooklyn accent from the cartoons and stuff. And because of that idea, I did kind of give them some leeway with Chris Pratt's casting before the film was released. But having seen the actual film, it should have been Charles Martinet. Charles Martinet was literally right there. He did the Mario voice and he did a Brooklyn accent really well. So literally, what was the point? I mean, maybe in a movie with slightly more emotional scenes that's slightly more serious, Chris Pratt could have been a good choice. But this movie is really cartoonish and comedic, and the Mario accent would not have been out of place at all. Anya Taylor-Joy was fine as Peach, maybe a little plain, but I didn't really have any issues with her. Seth Rogen is literally just Seth Rogen. I'm still not on board with the idea of DK speaking full sentences at all, but he was fine, I guess. The only character whose voice I really didn't like at all was Fred Armisen's Cranky Kong. I thought the way he said his lines was super weird, not to mention the fact that he was literally just doing an impression of Larry David or Larry King, or I don't know, whichever Larry he was doing.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-da. Wham, wham, wham. Ooh.
One of my favorite things about this movie was getting to see all of these iconic locations from the Mario games in a new light. Quite literally, actually, because Illumination did actually step up their lighting game for this movie, and it looks really good. The animation as a whole is gorgeous, and it really captures the vibrance of the Mario world. The character design is also really good, and it's really in tune with the Mario character design. For the most part, I mean, there are definitely some characters who look like they were made by Illumination. These environments are beautifully animated, and they're also incredibly well designed. What's really remarkable about the locations in this movie is that none of them are a one-to-one recreation of whatever they represent. Instead, they pick and choose different aspects from Mario's 40-year history and they make a movie out of that. And because of that, this film feels like a love letter to the fans of this franchise. The Mushroom Kingdom takes inspiration from a bunch of different Mario games to create a thriving metropolis that folds in decades worth of Easter eggs. The Jungle Kingdom is also amazing. It's designed like a Mario Kart course with a bunch of different Kongs populating the place. And then they pack them all into a stadium. I love this movie, man. Brooklyn is populated with a bunch of different obscure Mario characters from his adventures outside the Mushroom Kingdom, not to mention the Mario Kart kart creator, the Mario Maker-esque obstacle course, Bowser's Flying Castle. They all give us something familiar while also giving us something new. And another aspect of this film that does that same exact thing masterfully is the music, which deserves its own section of the video because it's just that good.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Brian Tyler's score for this film is nothing short of spectacular. It creates new motifs for these characters and concepts, yes, but it also wholeheartedly embraces the franchise music library. Every single track is packed to the brim with musical Easter eggs, and you're about to suffer through me talking about all my favorite ones, so get ready. Bowser's iconic airship music as he takes over the Penguin Kingdom at the beginning of the film. There's a jazzy rendition of the Super Mario Bros. 3 theme in Brooklyn. Mario's entire introduction to the Mushroom Kingdom has so much to unpack. Probably my favorite one was when they played the Mario Kart 8 menu music in the Mario Kart scene. Mario and Donkey Kong's team up in the Mushroom Kingdom is an Easter egg hunt in and of itself. As I mentioned before, I absolutely love the final battle, and that's in no small part thanks to the Superstar theme. And the iconic Mario music that plays over the credits is just the cherry on top of this absolutely amazing score. Not to mention the other Mario music that makes an appearance, like the Mario Super Show rap or the DK rap. It's all just so tastefully done. And all of that goes without mentioning the single best musical moment in this film. Bowser's love ballad, Peaches, is a cinematic masterpiece. It's not exactly what I was expecting from Bowser's Big Villain song, but I love it nonetheless. It's hilarious, catchy, and I'm expecting a Best Original Song nomination for sure. I mean, come on, it's already April. Has there been anything this year that really rivals this? Leave your answers in the comments below. I need viewer engagement. I also want to acknowledge that singing in this voice must be absolute hell for Jack Black, but it all just goes to show how dedicated he is to his role, and I love that so much. But there is one more type of music in this movie, and this one isn't so pretty. For the most part, I do feel like Illumination's style of filmmaking really works well with the Mario franchise to create something that's similar to the games, but there are definitely some moments where it oversteps its boundaries. And that moment happens whenever you hear a licensed pop song. Using existing songs in movies can work when it's done properly, but for something as timeless as Super Mario, I really feel like it should have been avoided. Especially when the score is this good already. Now, you guys may not know this, but if you actually look on the soundtrack of this movie, you'll find several instances where Brian Tyler wrote and recorded music for this movie, but it was replaced last minute with pop songs. We really need to get Illumination's attention with this one. Hashtag release the Miyamoto cut. Overall, the Super Mario Bros. Movie is far from perfect, but with its treasure troves of fun, creativity, and of course Easter eggs, it's a near perfect representation of everything great about the franchise. Overall, I'd have to give this movie 3.5 stars. It's a perfectly solid movie, and I had a blast throughout the entire thing. In a stroke of perfect timing, they announced that in 2 years, the Minecraft movie is gonna come out, baby. I am going to be absolutely insufferable when this comes out. Imagine my hype for the Mario movie just times 10. It's gonna be crazy. You guys are gonna love it.